It's a good job I caught it early. We'll start again. We'll do that again, mate, if that's all right. You know what you're saying now. It's all good.
Episode loading. Play. You are listening to Freshly Squeezed.
I just remember vividly walking out. I'm sure there's 25,000 people in there for our support slot. We'd gone from that to sitting at home watching telly, not being able to leave the house.
Apple.
Howdo, welcome, thanks for coming. This is Freshly Squeezed, a new music podcast, your single source in the podcasting world for new music discovery. In a moment, I'm going to introduce you to 3 brilliant up-and-coming bands that need to be in your ears. First, a little heads up. We're getting to that point in the year where it's getting a bit warmer. The shorts are coming out. We're looking forward to evenings in the pub gardens. And importantly, we're also looking forward to standing in a field with a slightly warm pint of cider, enjoying some brilliant music. Well, over the festival season, we'll get you festival ready on Freshly Squeezed with a load of specials focused on the bands that you need to be checking out at the major festivals, but might not be aware of currently. The first one of those is going to be Isle of Wight Festival, 19th of June. If you're going, it's going to be an essential listen. If you're not going, well, you just get to listen to some brilliant new music and hear from some brilliant new bands. So make sure you are subscribed to this podcast so you get that as soon as it's ready. Business as normal today. 3 bands ready to go on Freshly Squeezed. And those bands today are Berkshire-based indie band Rilas Edge.
I'm so
You're going to hear more of this tune from Red Light Factory.
choose death, head west on a train and a road into the mire. Run fast and have a pill, take a thrill, and this girl's just like a killer.
From Manchester, and you might well recognise the people involved in Red Light Factory. We'll get onto that shortly. Plus, let me introduce you to the energetic and edgy Emergency Break.
Killing yourself on our own town view, and it's funny, cause it was a joke topic after a few.
More from them later. There's something really cool that Emergency Break do in their music that I want to tell you about as well. So stick around for that. That's coming up later on today's podcast. But first, it is Rilas Edge. And before we get into chatting to them, I want to play a little bit of their latest tune, their brand new single, Undone.
I'll be your love song. I'm gonna shake out your blues. A kickstart to the heart. I could be the one to wait for the train and shake you ever for forever, just so I can see you.
I'm so wired, I'm so undone. I'm so wired, but I still want you.
Right, that is a little bit of the brand new tune from Rilas Edge. It is Undone, and the band are joining me in full force on Freshly Squeezed. How are we doing, lads?
Good.
Woo! A woo as well, exciting stuff. The second I heard that new tune, Undone, in my head I thought, Feeder. I'm not sure what it is. Maybe it's like that little effect on the guitar at the beginning. Maybe it's a mix of that and a bit of Smashing Pumpkins too. Is that a comparison that's been made before on that tune, those kind of musical reference points?
The Smashing Pumpkins one, yeah, we like them. So yeah, we're definitely trying to do that. The Feeder one, I've never listened to Feeder, but they're one of those bands that I would like to listen to.
That blows my mind that a little bit, and I know it's probably like a generational thing, but the bands that kind of for me were massive in the noughties, that there's a lot of these from kind of like the indie sleaze era that maybe have dropped away a little bit and haven't carried on. Some of them still have prominence now, but some of them just don't. That's one of those bands, I guess.
I think Alfie likes Feeder.
I haven't listened to Feeder either. I knew, well, we knew when we were at college, one of our lecturers, Darren, he was a manager for Feeder at one point, and he was telling us all the stories about what it was like going on tour with them and bringing them through.
Well, there we go. A little bit of homework for the band. Get Feeder into your ears. Start on Echo Park, and you can go on from there. With the new tune Undone, it's got this kind of dreamy quality to it, I guess. It feels a little bit retro in places as well. How did you go about capturing that?
I feel like having quite a low, the vocal melody is sung quite low. I don't know if that makes it sound a bit retro. It's like a bit double tracked.
I think it's maybe a bit more grungy than the stuff we've done previously, and that seems to be at the moment with a lot of the stuff we're writing, kind of the space we're in, which is fine with me. I love that. But yeah, I think it's just tapping into a slightly more maybe gritty kind of, not like depressing, but not in like a bad way kind of vibe, I guess. Because a lot like with like Pimlico Road and stuff, yeah, it's a lot more upbeat. So yeah, we're just trying to vary our vibe really.
So you mentioned Pimlico Road there, which I think for me was the first tune that I ever heard from you. Now, I understand that song started life as a voice note between you boys. Is that right? Is that a typical starting point for a tune?
That's how a lot of these things start. Usually Ollie will have like a really good progression that him and Alf will kind of go through at the studio together. And then we all kind of meet as a group and sort of flesh these things out a bit more. But yeah, I'd say 8 or 9 times out of 10, a lot of our tunes start their infancy over a WhatsApp group.
Do you still have the original WhatsApp voice note?
We do, Jim.
All right. Well, you know what I've got to do now? I need to ask you to play it to me. Do you have it to hand?
Oh, I can have a look. It will be somewhere.
You need to have a look. I mean, be quick. It's quite a short podcast.
Okay, all right. I got it.
Go on, let's have a listen.
When I left you at the corner of Pimlico Road, you were staring at the pavement, down past your toes, and then you shoot that little look that then gave me the bends. Oh, you broke my little heart into again and again. So please don't leave me now. Oh, just please don't leave me now. 'Cause I'm happy with you just knocking.
That's mega. I absolutely love that. And I can't believe that went on to become this.
When I left you at the corner on Pimlico Road, you were staring at the pavement, down past your toes, and then you shoot that little look that time you gave me the bends. So you broke my little heart into again and again. So please don't leave me now. Oh, just please don't leave me now. 'Cause I'm happy with you just knocking round together. Why is one
Cool. Well, based on that tune, and to wrap up today's chat, I just want to play a little game with you guys, a silly game as well. I'm going to split you into 2 teams. So on one team, I want Ollie and Charlie, and then Jacob, George, and Alfie. You're on the other team. The winners of this game will have the dubious honour of introing your new song on Freshly Squeezed when we play it in a moment. So here's how the game's going to work. I've got a list of songs about roads or streets or things along of that nature. All you need to do as a team is tell me who released that song originally, okay?
Yeah.
Sudden death, whoever gets the first one wrong first loses. We'll do it kind of penalty shootout style.
It's going to be a fucking it's gonna be tragic.
This is going to be really scared.
Okay, we'll start with Ollie and Charlie. So, Ollie and Charlie. Baker Street.
I don't know. The specials?
Oh.
George knows this one. Go on, George, what is it?
Jerry Rafferty.
Jerry Rafferty is right. Well done.
Yeah.
Do you know what? We'll say that
Wow.
because I've prepped this and I don't want the game to be over instantly. We'll say that was a test run. All right.
Practice run.
Yeah. We'll crack on.
Just like Jerry Rafferty out of nowhere. We're not winning on that.
Might as well start with George. He's this encyclopedia. So.
What worries me is I started with an easy one, which concerns me slightly.
Oh my God.
Okay, we'll try again. Okay, have another go at this one. Right, Ollie and Charlie, positively 4th Street.
What the heck? Yeah, I don't know.
All right, well, that's Bob Dylan. I mean, come on. I mean,
It's that, yeah.
Don't Bob Dylan is, don't either are.
okay. I mean, it only gets harder from here, so I think we'll draw a line under this. Jacob, George, and Alfie.
We stick to one road only.
There are no winners here, so I'm going to introduce you.
Pimlico Road would have helped us.
Yeah. That should have been the opening one. Boys, good luck with the new tune. Pleasure to chat to you. Thanks for coming on Freshly Squeezed.
Thanks for having us. Cheers, Jim.
Catch you soon.
New from Rilas Edge, that is Undone. Also in the chat with the lads, you would have heard a little bit of Pimlico Road, another one of their tunes. Well, if you want to find that or the new single, head to the podcast description. Links to all the artists are there where you can discover more of their music. So next up, we're going to speak to Red Light Factory. Harry and Ben, welcome to Freshly Squeezed, boys.
Hey, happy to be here.
Thanks for having us.
Not at all. I'm going to full name you here if that's okay. Harry Levin, Ben Warwick. I would do that because some people might recognise your full names from various music projects you've been involved in, particularly in the Northwest. Not least the second coming of Twisted Wheel, who were making some waves pre-pandemic. Just give me a little bit of how it happened. How did you get from there to here with Red Light Factory?
I think we just finished the last Twisted Wheel tour around Europe. I think that was February 2020. That was with Liam Gallagher. And we just finished the last gig in Paris. And I think a week later, after we got home, or it might have been a couple of weeks later, I think Boris Johnson was on TV announcing the lockdown. We thought it would be fine after about a year. We'll just get back in the practice room and get back in the studio, do the headline tour for the album and this, that and the other. And then 5 years passed, 4 years passed, and we'd still not really got anything together. I'd been doing some solo work and I recorded some songs. I think I'd just done about 4 singles and then I'd done another 4. But I had to get Ben involved because I needed someone a bit better, proficient on the guitar and the drums to basically play the parts. And then we just went, you know what? Should we just be a band again? It just worked. The dynamic just works miles better when the two of us are both working in tandem and writing together. So that was kind of how it came about, really.
We was in a band previously called Shadow Palace. So previously to Twisted Meal, me and Harry have been in bands together for the last 10 to 12 years. So obviously the chemistry stems back from all the way back then. So that's sort of how it's come about as well.
Was there a period of time then, kind of mid-pandemic, where you were kind of holding on and going, well, is that going to continue? Like I say, it felt like the comeback for Twisted Wheel, it was the second time, the second stab at that band. Did it feel like you were just kind of deciding whether to wait or whether just to kind of crack on?
Yeah, I mean, there is some sense to that because we were still very much involved with Twisted Wheel, and that is the case. And then we was coming to a big peak in the horizon. We was doing very well. We had a lot of momentum off the back of that tour, but then obviously COVID hit us hard, and we just didn't seem to recover. Yeah, no, we definitely spent years sort of pondering. There was a couple of years where I probably felt a bit idle, didn't know what to do. But obviously, this genre of music, the more heavier stuff, the riff-based stuff that runs in our veins, that we've been doing for so many years, we just feel like we needed to ignite it again.
I can't let you just get away with the Liam Gallagher name drop, by the way, without kind of digging into it a little bit. That must give you a taste of what's possible, of where you want to get to with whatever you do next in music. The fact that you can share a stage with a musical icon like that must give you a kind of like a benchmark that you want to reach again.
Oh, of course. I mean, when you're surrounded not just by, the people like Liam and the band, it's the whole thing. You're living it. You're touring. When you're driving through the Alps, on tour and seeing these beautiful mountains, and you're playing FIFA together in the back of the van, and it's just the camaraderie that you can't match that. There's nothing like being a band on tour, kind of, feeling like you're going places and feeling like you're achieving something that you've always wanted to do. So that for me, that's what we always strive for.
It was very surreal. It was very surreal for us because we was going from country to country. I just remember vividly walking out in stage Vigadome, Amsterdam. I'm sure there's 25,000 people in there packed out for our support slot. We were just a support band, and it's just like we'd gone from that to sitting at home watching telly, not being able to leave the house,
playing Warzone,
playing bloody Call of Duty. Yeah, that's it.
Let's look forward rather than back, though, because we're going to play your new tune on Freshly Squeezed in a bit. When you talk about your inspirations on that tune, some of the bands you have mentioned, Echo and the Bunnymen, Queens of the Stone Age, Kraftwerk, they're your trio of inspirations. How do they come together in your eyes in a mix on this tune? And is that the kind of thing we're going to continue to hear in music from you guys going forward? Is it are they the touch points?
Yeah, I think definitely from a sound point of view, when you're talking about the likes of like heavy riff-based music like Queens of the Stone Age, but even a lot of Arctic Monkeys influence and stuff like that from some of the earlier albums.
It's funny you say that, because when I listened to it, I got not necessarily Queens of the Stone Age, but I got Arctic Monkeys in the period they were working with Josh Homme. Just a little bit more kind of industrial and grubby.
Yeah, Humbug. Like mine and Harry's influences stem right through that Humbug album. That's both of our favourite album by the Arctic Monkeys. because the sound of it, it's so moody, so articulate. Instead, quite a spooky feel to it, and that's sort of the ideas and effects that I sort of try and add with my guitar playing. I like to keep it quite ambient, but also quite eerie as well. So that's where that aspect of it comes from.
The craft work is more of an aesthetic thing. So obviously, people that have seen the pictures, it's quite minimalist and the lights are quite vivid and stuff. That's very much an aesthetic thing that I wanted to get in there about craft work, really.
You mentioned Shadow Palace a moment ago, which was your first band together. Does Red Light Factory as an entity, does that feel like a new thing, or does it feel like a continuation of that?
It's a bit of both, I guess, Ben, isn't it?
It's definitely the sibling of Shadow Palace. It definitely stems back, but it's the more mature, more experienced version.
Yeah, it is. And a lot of the songs that we had back then, we're re-recording them now.
We have. I'm sure we've done about 3 Shadow Palace songs that will be out at some point.
Yeah, because we just didn't want to waste them. And it was at the time, we had no knowledge of anything. We didn't know what we were doing. We didn't understand PR. We didn't understand radio. We didn't understand, booking gigs. And then, joining Twisted Wheel was like a massive, not just an experience, it was just a massive learning curve. So we learned the industry really through doing that for 3 years.
How much have you got in the bank then? If it's a mix of kind of maybe the old stuff you had before, half-finished stuff that you've kind of taken to completion, and new stuff that you're putting together, you must have a hefty weight of material to go out already.
Oh, we've actually got about an album's worth of music recorded already, half finished, half not. I mean, we're actually looking to go in and just finish some vocals on the next batch of songs. But I mean, once they're done and finalised, that's when we're going to start looking at really hitting it hard in the practice room with the live band, so we can actually practice the full set. But yeah, we're looking at nearly an album's worth already recorded. So, like I said, the future's definitely bright, and this year is going to be heavily focusing on getting as much music out as possible.
Nice. Well, in terms of live shows, there have been no live shows yet, but there is one in the pipeline, Soup Kitchen in Manchester, which is the end of the year, 24th of October. Tickets on sale now for that. How much thought has gone into how that show is going to feel when you're on stage? Because I know you've put loads of work into the artwork and the branding, and you've got this imagery that you talked about already across your social channels. Is it going to be one of those kind of moody, dark shows where you'll be bathed in red light? I've seen Echo and the Bunnymen do that before live, just like playing with backlights and just silhouettes. Is it going to kind of be a performance occasion?
It's going to be more of a show than a gig, like I say, because we are sort of certain it's going to be pretty much the first and only exclusive time anyone's going to be able to see us live this year. So we are going to make it a big night. Obviously, aesthetically, and the music obviously will speak for itself.
We want it to be a statement, really, come in, blast the doors off kind of thing. And yeah, I do, Echo and the Bunnymen, for me, the aesthetic that they have live, I want to mirror that as much as possible, because their live shows are unbelievable. And they still sound great, but just aesthetically, and Ian McCulloch just looks like
it just takes it to the next level, doesn't it?
Yeah,
especially from an audience point of view, it's just got a look and sound amazing.
Well, Harry, Ben, pleasure to speak to you. I'm excited about what's coming, and it sounds like there is plenty coming over the next 12 months or so. So cheers for your time on Freshly Squeezed, and I'm going to play the brand new tune from Red Light Factory up next. Do you want to introduce it?
Yeah, I don't mind doing that. This is Red Light Factory with Riot Act.
love that from Red Light Factory. I'm really excited about that live show they're talking about as well. Get your tickets sorted now. I'll put a link in the podcast description. One of the brilliant things about Freshly Squeezed for me is it's not just introducing you to new music, it's discovering new bands for myself as well. And one of the new bands I've discovered this week are called Emergency Brake. They're from London. They're a bit edgy, a bit punky. I'll play you one of their tunes in a moment. But first, Leo from the band on the podcast. You're right, Leo.
Thank you for having me. How are you?
Yeah, really good. You joined us in the middle of a campaign to get Emergency Brake supporting another band.
Yeah, no. So currently on Twitter, we're rallying each day to try and join Corella on their UK tour. And we're on like our fifth or sixth day. So I don't know, maybe when this comes out, we're on our like 8th week. We've caught their eyes, so you never know. Fingers crossed.
Well, I guess if people want to find out whether it has been successful or not, go and check out Corella's UK tour. If you see Emergency Brake on the support, it's all been a big win. Has this kind of thing worked before, Leo?
So we did a gig in Southampton for Independent Venue Week, and we sort of rallied to get on that. It was the Lilacs headlining with Harvey, J Dodson, and they were doing like a sort of thing for Independent Venue Week. And obviously we hadn't played in Southampton before, but we were like, oh, this would be an awesome debut. Like we have ties and friends with some of them. So we got like all of our fans on our WhatsApp channel to spam the comments. And then we got a message later being like, how could we not give you the slot? Like people would clearly be very annoyed. So it has worked before, but not on the level of getting on a whole UK tour. So we'll have to stay tuned for that one.
Right, fingers crossed for that. In terms of the music you are making as a band, it feels like that genre is in a good place right now. That kind of raw, punky, energetic vibe. And it might be led by the recent success that Fontaine's DC have had, finally breaking through. Is that something you're feeling as a band at the moment? Is that door opening slowly?
Absolutely. I think, we've been around for about 2 years, but we only deem sort of really the last year as us really sort of going for it as a band, for some of us moving away and stuff. And bands on the rise now like Wonder Horse and Keo, and obviously Fontaine's now really sort of plummet themselves at the top bands. And that guitar music sound really is starting to take a comeback. All of them bands I just mentioned have this sort of raw sound that's in your face, and they talk about themes and topics, sometimes political, sometimes addressing mental health. And we do the same within our music. And in that, I think now it's allowed to be at the front of your face, and it's on the rise. And like you said, thanks to bands like Fontaine's.
You recently played Bring the Noise up in Sheffield with some of my favourite bands, actually. Spangled are in it, Coversets, Ruby J as well, to name check a few. How was that experience for you?
That was a really stellar day. That was one of the days, because we've never played Sheffield before. We've played sort of areas around, but we've never come to Sheffield. And we were a little bit nervous coming up on the train. We're like, oh, we're like the third band on this stage. We were like, we could genuinely play to no one here, because there's so many great other bands to be seeing. We were a little bit like almost scared, but it's one of the moments where it proved that the word of mouth is strong. We played to like pretty much a full out room in Record Junkie, and we were just like, wow, like it is just a stellar lineup. Like, there's Pastel, Stone. We like fought so hard to get on it, because we were just like, some of these bands we idolized, like Stone. I first met the drummer of the band and the rhythm guitarist, Oren and James, at a Stone headline show in London at O'Meara. And we jokingly said, literally in the first weeks being the band, how cool it'd be to headline that venue. And now we're doing it ourselves this September. So yeah, it's an honour to also be appearing on billings like that. But that was a really great day. We absolutely loved it.
What an album Fear for a Lifetime is as well. One of my favourite albums of last year. That absolutely superb.
Yeah.
You guys got some good reviews from that gig, and I think in general you're getting a bit of a reputation for your live shows, especially in your hometown of London, but also increasingly outside as well. How important for you is it to capture that kind of live energy when you're actually recording in a studio, and how do you go about doing that?
That's the thing we have found the hardest as a band. So a lot of us are originally sort of theatre kids, so we really looked at just creating something that was a crazy sort of live show, and that's what we've always been. And we've really found it hard to capture ourselves in recording. The first song that we really believed that we got it was really our first proper studio single, which was Hometown. And now subsequently with this song, Dollface, a lot of the songs we now go in and record, we've played live in front of thousands of people before we ever lay them down. And I when I talk to some bands, they're like, oh, that's a common thing. And when I talk to others, it's like, no, we record all the singles and then we're going to go put them out to the masses. But for us, it's just a raw, repetitive style of like recording. For me, vocals, like the tracks that we record, like the eighth take will appear sort of on the vocal like chain for the song, and that's purely because at first we seem to go in with the studio feel and feel like we need to glamorize everything. And we almost, every time we've worked with a producer, they almost wear us down. And the best take ends up being the 8th take because it's the most raw. And you can definitely hear that in my vocals. In a song like Hometown, I think it is something like the 8th take that's used in the song. And you can hear my voice sort of tripping out, but it really gives it that feel that it has live. And we've got to give it to the engineers and the producers that we work with. We've worked famously on this single, and the next one we'll be having coming out soon at Strong Room in London. And with a really great team who've worked on Royal Blood and stuff like that. And, you know, we went with the 2 producers because they famously worked with bands that have a great live show, bands like Sports Team, etc. So we were like, look, we're in safe hands, and hopefully they have and we asked them quite a lot of times, like, what styles are you using to sort of get that out of them? And really, we recorded quite a lot live where we're sort of all in little booths together, getting loads of takes and then sort of chaining it all together. And that's sort of how we have built our sound. But that's one thing we can all say that as a band, we would like to really, really try and get down.
Well, I think it's definitely captured on the new tune Dollface, which is a song that tells the story, in your words, a poignant story of Jane, a girl overwhelmed by fleeting online fame, which feels a little bit Danny California, that. Is it based on anyone or any event in particular?
Yeah, it is a little bit. It's based on me at TikTok and Instagram and all the great social medias out there. You know, I see a lot of people online, and a lot of people get famous for all sorts of weird reasons. I don't know whether it's swallowing food whole or doing makeup routines. And it's sort of the power of how hate and like the power we play with each other's lives without realizing. Like, there was a story I read in the news about a year ago about a girl who took her own life basically after a brief bit of online fame. And it was basically the power of meaningless hate comments. I can go on my phone, I can open up TikTok, and I could leave a comment saying that so-and-so's nose looks funny, think nothing of it, get on with my day, go to work, go to bed. But that could be the final straw for someone. And it's how, like, carefully we play with each other's lives online, and how, like, you know, reputation is shattered overnight. And that's what the song looks at. And it's sort of like, you know, how people do put up like almost a doll face, and people like separate themselves from their online identity to cricket ball the hate. And that's what the song is looking at. And, you know, a lot of people have asked me sort of like, is it a song that personally has affected me? And it has to some extent, but really it's a song that sort of just addresses everything that all of us see with our own eyes every day.
We'll get it on in a second. We'll play a little bit of Dollface. But before I do play it, now, I've heard that as a band, you like to hide little noises in your music, like little audio Easter eggs. Is there anything in this tune we're listening out for?
Yeah, there is. In the breakdown moment when it's just my vocals and the kick drum, there is a Lucasade bottle. You know, when like the bottles of drink that have like the little small hole tops that you have to squeeze out.
Yeah.
Finish a Lucasade bottle. If you hold that together and let go of it, it makes like a squeezy sort of like noise. And so what we did was we recorded that in like a sound isolated room at Strong Room, and then we like dragged a few bits down, and it makes this sort of drone noise, and that is the drone noise that you can hear sort of on that. But we do that with a lot of our tracks. We hide all sorts of weird things, or like voicemails from like friends, or sort of weird like moments in our live show where someone's heckled something at us and we laughed, and then the track kicks off. We do it quite a lot, but in this track, the Lucasade bottle from our drummer James was the Easter egg.
I absolutely love that. That is something you 100% need to continue. As you continue through your career, I want to hear that in every single song. Leo, absolute pleasure to speak to you. Really enjoying what Emergency Brake are doing, and we'll get it on. Dollface on Freshly Squeezed. Nice one, mate.
Thank you so much.
Do you wanna risk your life? Do you wanna put up a fight? The picture palace got a view. You may jump off it after a few. No, 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 no. And no one's home to call her name. She killed herself off the 30 seconds of fame. Jane, remember her name. Killing yourself on our own town view. After
final tune on today's Freshly Squeezed. That is Dollface from Emergency Brake. Did you hear it? Did you hear the Lucozade bottle that Leo was referring to in the recording? If you missed it, here's what you were listening out for.
But it's hot sometimes and I know that it's hot sometimes.
That's so cool. I absolutely love it. I just really hope they continue to do that throughout their career. Every song has a little sound effect in it somewhere. Thank you to today's bands. Emergency Brake, of course, Red Light Factory, who you heard earlier, Rilas Edge as well. If you want to hear more from any of them, get into the podcast description. The links to their Spotify pages are there, as is the links to our merchandise page. If you want to continue to support the podcast, yes, you can spread the word, you can tell your mates, you can help us build this platform for new music, but also get yourself a t-shirt or a sticker or something like that. Have a little browse, see if there's anything you fancy, and make sure you're subscribed, because I'll see you next week for more Freshly Squeezed. Cheers to your ears.
Freshly Squeezed, a new music podcast, was devised, produced and hosted by Jim Salveson. Sound design and additional production by Ant McKinley. The music, Blue Blazer, is written and produced by Spin Class. Stop.